All right, what is up, everyone? Welcome to the Last Drop Sobriety Podcast. I'm your host, Tim O'Connor. Created this podcast to highlight the journeys of those who have chosen the path of sobriety and have changed their lives through the process. Join us today as we hear stories of resilience, strength, and a newfound purpose in life. My mission for this podcast is to educate, inform, and raise awareness, dismantling the stigmas surrounding addiction and alcoholism to raise awareness and to put an end to the stigma of addiction. Also, this podcast is 100% free. You don't have to pay to listen to it. To show your support, please give a like, give a share, subscribe on Spotify or YouTube, and give me a follow at the Last Drop Sobriety on social media. On today's episode number 15, I have the pleasure of speaking with this guy I met up in Washington last summer when the Last Drop was kind of getting formulated in my brain. Super cool meeting him and his son. This is Jeff L. from California, also known as at Jeff L. Langston on Instagram. What is up, dude? How are you doing today?
I'm good, dude. I'm good. My life is in some serious transition, but I'm good. I'm really good.
Yeah.
It's in the basic text, there's that chapter, Relapse and Recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And it talks about sometimes the nuclear explosion of a relapse can either destroy everything or propel you to the next level.
Yes.
And though I've not relapsed, there's a serious nuclear event that just happened in my my relationship with my wife of 28 years that could have destroyed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could have destroyed it. Could have destroyed me.
Mm-hmm.
But instead I'm using that energy of that nuclear explosion to just blast me into the next era of amazing good shit.
Yeah, right? Yeah, for sure. That's it also reminds me of page 82 in the basic text, which is one of my favorite pages. The paragraph about relationships, saying that relationships can be some of the hardest and most challenging things for anyone in recovery, or addicts alone. And I always hold that really true to my heart, because it's just if I'm not doing what I'm doing, I need to do for myself, how can I take care of other relationships around me? So I got to be able to take care of myself first. Right.
Right.
It's so important to be able to do that. And how there's it's nice being able to use that nuclear blast to understand what you need to do more or you need to do to move forward,
Right. And that's where I'm because I was telling you before we hit record, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I met my wife at the Monday night fuck no meeting at the Henry Olaf halfway house in Haight in San Francisco.
Yeah.
On June 12th, 1995.
Wow.
And we got married June 23rd of 96.
Yeah.
And, I was 22 years old. I got clean April Fool's Day, 1991. I was 17 years old.
Damn, dude.
And when I got clean, NA in the San Francisco Bay Area, AA was pretty. There was lots of good-looking, shiny teeth people. You know what I mean? NA was the henchman. When you see the movies credits rolling and it's henchman 1, henchman 2, henchman 3. That was NA. It was a bunch of one-eyed, seven-finger, burn-scarred, hardcore maniacs.
Yeah, totally.
And I was cool, those are my people. You know what I mean? The pretty people, good, cool, right on for you.
Yeah.
But I was so I was I got arrested with 8 felony weapons charges and a dead friend and a dead sheriff, and I was going to be in a lot of trouble for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And I had already been in outpatient rehabs and DARE programs and youth substance abuse programs. My mother's been in recovery since I was 8. So I like pretty much grew up in a dope house until I was 8.
Yeah.
And then I got all gangstery, directly following her cleaning up.
Yeah.
And so I had known about Narcotics Anonymous, and my mom was pushing as hard as she could. She worked at a rehab for Teamsters. They made it a part of my probation to like go to work with her. Have a bunch of truck drivers yell at me all day on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Like they were trying everything they could. You know what I mean? The cops would try to bring me home, and my mom would be like, "No, take him to the hospital, see how much shit he's on, then take him to juvenile hall. Like not here."
Damn.
Yeah. So I cleaned up in 91, and I was around all these one-eyed, 7-fingered henchmen that were like, "What did you do, Junior?"
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, enough. I did enough. Like, that's what I did. I did plenty, and I did enough. And that's why, one of the reasons why I love Narcotics Anonymous. It's not about like what substance you choose or don't choose, but do anyways. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about recovery from addiction. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like stopping doing drugs was hard.
Yes.
Absolutely. And following up that, like leaving the lifestyle behind, like not hustling, not robbing nobody, not getting over all the time, not as a default setting, just being full of shit for some end that may or may not occur, but I want to build a story so that I can then take, you know what I mean? Like that was, that took a while, you know what I mean? And still being like, yeah, fuck the police. I do what I want. Like, you know what I mean? Like the whole, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't need, they suspended my ability to even apply for a license until I was like 17 and a half. And then I got it. And then I lost it before I was 18. Cause I was like, I'm not doing felonies anymore. Screw these tickets. These tickets don't even register.
These don't matter.
These don't matter, dude. I'm clean. Like somebody give me a gold star. And it was,
yeah. Dang, dude. So you've been clean since, what'd you say, 91?
Yeah.
Wow.
I just celebrated 33 years, dude.
I think I saw that on your Instagram, and I was like, dude, that's a lot of time, dude. That's
dude, you know how I spent it? I was at Petaluma High School doing public relations presentations for Narcotics Anonymous to the kids there.
Dude, that's awesome, bro.
That's what I did. You know what I mean? It was like, how fitting is that? Like I was supposed to be in high school at 17, and 33 years later, I'm back at high school
doing PR
doing
presentation.
Doing the service.
And that's so cool, man. Like that is such a good way to like just give back, right? Because that's what I'm trying to do today as well, is like I'm trying to give back a little bit more, because like I realized through the steps like what harm I caused on other people, and like what I did driving around, years of being loaded behind the wheel and putting people's lives in danger. And like I went to jail a couple of times, but it's just like, in my mind, that was just like an eye for an eye, like,
yeah, it's part of the game. Yeah,
it was part of the game, right? And it's like now I make the choice to like be of service and to help other people, and to like, it's kind of why I'm doing like this podcast as well, is to like help show people that like we do recover, we can get clean, we can get sober. Like I'm trying to really help people understand that like just because like we used drugs in the past doesn't mean like, we're still junkies, but we changed our lives, right? Like we make the choice today to be different people. And it's like, that's what I'm really trying to just push with this, is that like,
the lie is dead.
Yeah. The lie is dead, right? Like, I love that, man. I love that. So basically, that's great. I mean, I love hearing a little bit of your story, it's great to hear how you got clean and just how much time you have. So basically, I'm trying to bring topics to the podcast now. And like, so today I thought it would be a good idea for the topic of courage, in which it's like, before I even talk to you about all this stuff going on with your wife, I was just kind of like looking through your Instagram, and I was like, I think courage is a good one. And I feel like it's pretty fitting, right? So courage is defined in the dictionary. It's a noun. It's a mental or moral strength to venture, preserve, and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty. So, like, what does courage mean to you today?
Well, I mean, I've heard courage defined as continuing despite being afraid.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
no fear.
this might not work out, or I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I'm going to do it because it feels like the right thing to do.
Totally. Yes.
And like, I do that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, geez, here we go. You know what I mean? Just hold my nose and jump in. And see how this goes. Cause, yeah.
No, that's great. Well, so what does having courage mean to you? Like, does it, how do you apply courage within your life today, living clean?
Well, like, I'm a fatherless father, right? There was no men around in my growing up. I have 2 sons. And, I don't, I have no reference. Not like, oh, I definitely don't want to be like my dad, or I wish I could be like my dad. It was none of that. You know what I mean? And doing it anyways, knowing that like I'm a good man and I can look out for these guys. You know what I mean? I can, whatever comes, whatever challenges arrive in their lives, sometimes the courage is to let them get their head bumped.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like having enough belief that like I did a good job and that they're going to be all right. You know, not fixing everything. That's hard for me to do. You know what I mean? That takes a little bit of courage because I fear, you know what I mean? I don't want the kids walking around in hockey gear all day long. They need to bump their head to, learn for themselves rather than just willy-nilly through all of life and, just figure dad will fix it.
Yeah.
But like courage for me is when, like right now, courage for me is continuing to do the right thing.
Totally.
Despite how it appears to someone else.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like how it appears to anyone else. And, like I used to gauge my behavior, like when I was younger, like how would I feel telling this to my sponsor?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is this the kind of action I'm going to take? And how would I feel telling my sponsor about this, like straight up, honestly? And once I had Jake, my first son, it shifted. And it's like, yeah, I can tell all kinds of dirty, filthy things to my sponsor and he'd still be cool. How would I feel seeing my son operate this way?
Ooh, that's
and
good.
that's where that's the line where I go, all right, then that's how I know whether or not it's a good move or a bad move. You know? Like, how would I feel knowing that my son was taking these actions or operating like this?
Yeah.
And if I don't feel good about it, then I'm like, all right, then that tells me exactly what I need to do,
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. That's awesome, dude. Love that.
Yeah. And, also just like continuing to do the things that I do, you know what I mean? Like, I like being clean and having done enough esteemable acts to have self-esteem. Like I don't question as much.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like I don't question as much. I still have moments, you know what I mean, where I'm like, dude, what the hell's wrong with me? You know what I mean? How did I blow this?
Yeah.
You know I mean? Like 28 years deep. And like, like I met my wife at an NA meeting and I've been clean. I was clean. It was kind of a trip because she's 4 years older than me. Right. So we're at the Horseshoe after the meeting, coffee shop on Haight Street. That's been there for like 50 years. And she's like, how old are you? And I was like, 21. And she kind of gave this like rotten look on her face. And I said, how long have you been clean? Because I'd been clean 4 years already, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, how long have you been clean? And she was like, 9 months. And I was like, ugh. I got the same rotten look on my face. But it was like for opposite reasons, you know what I mean?
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
But the same reason, kind of, you know what I mean? Like,
It balanced it out. It balanced it out, you know? Yeah.
a little bit, you know? And yeah, I married her a year and 12 days later.
Damn.
Yeah, January 19th, I got an email from the bank about a attorney she had hired. I was like, whoa.
Oh
I
my
mean, you know, like I don't expect our relationship to have been a Disney story, you know, where everything's cool and everything works out and there's, you know, rainbows and butterflies all day, every day. And we haven't had that, but we've stuck through a lot of bullshit, you know?
Yes.
And some of the, you know, having spent enough time in meetings and all over the place and knowing enough people, a lot of the things that I rationalized and all that sort of stuff of her behavior that I let fly is stuff that ends relationships. You know what I mean?
For sure. For sure.
Relapses and more relapses and just like, you know, the business of house failures and just a lot of stuff. And, you know, when, and where I didn't have courage was like not wanting to be the one who's like, this isn't working.
Yes, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I super sissied out on that one. You know what I mean? And I didn't, you know, like I didn't want to be the one that was like, with all these things, everyone's always got a full plate, right? No matter what. Some people are losing sleep about whether they're buying a blue Ferrari or a red Ferrari. Other people are like, where am I sleeping tonight? You know what I mean?
Right?
Whatever's going on, it's whatever big deal you got going on is your big deal. With my wife, there was always a big deal.
Yeah.
All the time. And it was like all encompassing.
For sure.
And I was and am always like, how are the boys? How are we? How is this working out? Everyone good? You know what I mean? Like I'm the provider. I'm the protector. I'm the father. I'm the husband. I'm the son. I'm the brother. I'm all the, you know,
all the things. Yeah. Right.
All the things, you know. I look out for my mom. I look out for my sister. I look out for my wife. I look out for my sons. I look out for my mother-in-law, her siblings, cousins, aunts. Like anytime there was something that was like, what are we going to do? I'd jump in the truck and go.
And make it happen. Yeah.
And like make it happen. However, whatever it is, however that goes and stuff like that. And knowing that this wasn't working, it hasn't been working, I kept hope alive. Like, yeah, all right, at some point it'll
turn
click
around
and we'll be back. You know what I mean? And it's like, there's sometimes when it's like, yeah, you know, dude, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
And I wasn't courageous enough to just call it.
And dude, it takes a lot of courage to do that. But also I'm seeing the other side of it as well, where it's like, it takes a lot of courage to like keep that hope up and like keep it going too, you know? So it's kind of like a double-sided sword, you know? And it's, it's hit me hard for sure. Cause it's like, I you know, I see what you're going through and I can like, you know, understand to some extent and can relate to some extent. And it's just like relationships today take courage, you know, being in a marriage takes courage because it's like, in order to work through deeper rooted problems that like don't just involve like a loose conversation, like you got to have some courage to like have those conversations and to like talk through things. And I mean, obviously you guys have been married for almost 30 years, right? So it's like, it's probably taken a little bit of courage to like work through some of those other difficult things that have come up, like for relapses and like all sorts of other things. And like it takes courage to like get through that and make that happen, and not just like use one of those things like as, you know, I don't want to say like an excuse, right? Because like if you want to be married, you want to be married, right? And it's like, so you're gonna, you know, muster up some courage to like make it happen and make it work. But I feel you on the other part where it's like, when you get to that point of like, dude, is this checkmate? Like,
Right.
do I need to say this? Do I need to bring this up? And it's, I don't know. It's definitely, it's a hard thing to do. You know, it takes a lot of courage for sure. So
Right.
let's see. So how do you build or create courage for yourself today?
Well, I mean, I continue to participate at meetings. I continue to participate with my sponsees and talk with my sponsor. And I have developed a relationship with a higher power of my misunderstanding.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know. Pretty sure it's not some dude with a robe on a throne somewhere.
No.
But you know what I mean? But you know what I mean? Like, what works for me is that I live my life through the lens of gratitude.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm on my knees tying rebar at work. It's cold, man. My fingers are bleeding in several places. And I'm grateful to be like able to earn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I run my company not from the desk, but next to my homies. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, my foreman Fred, we've been riding skateboards together since middle school. My lead carpenter, I'm tight with him, and like I've known his parents that are in recovery forever. He's clean, doesn't do the 12-step route, but doesn't use and has his own way of like making it through and, you know, continue to improve his life and relationships.
Yeah.
And then AJ's a friend of Jake's, who, you know, got a couple Deweys in college and decided to leave, you know, that lifestyle behind.
Mm-hmm.
And we hang out and listen to punk rock and build shit together.
That's awesome.
And I, you know, and it's like, I'm down on my knees and I'm bleeding, but I'm like, hey man, I've got these skills, got a relationship with a higher power. I'm like super tight with my son.
Yeah.
My son's a little tighter with Jake than Kyle, but I'm trying to like strengthen that bond even more.
Yeah.
And I'm able not only to earn enough to stay indoors and live in this beautiful place,
Yeah.
but I'm also able to like provide employment to my homies, and like, so they can, you know, they can do their lives.
That's huge.
And it's like, it's through esteemable acts that makes it so it gives me like the fortitude. Like, yeah, you know what, dude, you got this. Like, you've done all kinds of stuff. You used to sleep in your truck, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel that.
Like,
yep.
And now you're out here doing this stuff. You know what I mean? And like, you know,
it's that's great, man. And it's you know, there's so much in that too, because it's just, I feel like it's so important to have like an attitude of gratitude today, because it's so important to like, and it's crazy because back when I was using, like, I would just not be happy about anything, like anything. I could be making money and I could be doing, and I'd always be like, I need more. I gotta have more. Gotta have more. I gotta have more of this. Gotta have whatever it is. And like today, you know, kind of like with what you just said, like, you know, I have you know, a connection with a higher power. And it's like I live everything, through a lens of gratitude today, because like I don't feel like there's another way, you know, like I'm just grateful that like this is all happening around me and I get to be a part of it, you know.
right.
And it's like it's a hard thing to start a business and to like also employ people, you know, and to make enough money to employ people. And it's like right there, that takes so much courage to do. And it's like, you know, at Into the Woods, I like learned a lot about you just gotta like go. You just gotta start it, right? You just gotta
Right.
start doing something, right? And like, so in my mind, it's like that takes so much courage to break out of that shell that like, you know, all of society has of like, oh, we can be protected and we can be like comfortable. And like, for me, it really came down to like comfort's kind of like an illusion, man. Like if you're not getting uncomfortable, like you're probably not finding the courage like where you need to be finding it to be getting uncomfortable, you know? And so it takes a lot of courage to go out and be doing, you know, even, yeah, like creating good relationships with your sons. Like that takes courage, because some people could be like, I'm just going to focus on work and I'm going to focus on making money and my kids or whatever. But like, it takes time and patience and takes courage to be like, hey, let's spend time together. Let's do some things together to like build this relationship, you know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've heard that similar thing. Like if I'm not uncomfortable, sometimes I'm not growing.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, dude. Like I'm still a dope fiend.
Oh yeah.
I have two motivations: seek pleasure, avoid pain.
Yeah.
The rest is like shit that happens in between, or
Exactly.
to get to one of those ends, right? So
Yeah.
what I have to do is redefine pleasure and pain, right?
Mhm.
Like short-term pleasure often leads to pain. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Long term.
So it's like the sustained, like the sustained fulfillment
Yeah. Yeah.
that I get is through service, through doing the good things, through, you know, giving it the extra effort and, you know, and stuff like that. Um, and using these principles I learned about in Narcotics Anonymous and being of service to be
Yes.
that father that I
Mhm.
wasn't, that I didn't have as a reference. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I'd be hanging out in the living room and get, you know, putting my boots back on or whatever and getting ready to leave. And Jake's got a bunch of homies at the house. And Jake's like, "Where are you going?" "Oh, I'm like, I'm going to San Quentin." And his friends are like, "Oh my God, what's going on,
What are you
dude?
doing there? Yeah.
Holy shit, are you okay?" You know what I mean? Like, you turning yourself in, you know? And I'm like, "No, man. No, like I'm of service, dude. I walk in, I sign a waiver. I am not going to be used as, if I'm taken hostage, I have zero value.
Yeah.
And
sure.
I'm going in with the lifers.
Yes.
They're not getting more time. You know what I mean?
They're
still
there, man.
yeah. Triple life. They're like, sure, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
Quadruple life. Go for it, dude. I only got one. And I'm
Yeah.
down there. And it's like, once you walk through those gates,
Oh yeah.
it's run by the prisoners. There's no, like, I timed it. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm 45 seconds away from the next employed person here.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm in here with these dudes. And you know, like,
and like that takes courage, man. That takes a lot of courage too, because I also have done like H&I work as well, have like gone into county jails, you know, and even going into like a county jail on a weekly basis, it's like you go behind 3 or 4 doors and then you're just surrounded by prisoners, and there's one guard that maybe comes around every once in a while.
right.
It's like, but I get so much gratitude out of that, because it's like,
Exactly.
dude, I used to be where you dudes were, you know, or like where
Right.
you dudes are right now. And like, it's great being able to go in and just share some Narcotics Anonymous and share a little bit of hope with these dudes. And it's great. Like,
Right.
because when you see like, I've seen 1 or 2 dudes get out and come to a meeting, and it's like, it's the coolest thing ever. You're like,
Right.
man, and it's just that right there, like, brings me so much courage to like keep doing what I'm doing, because I know that like it's something's working, right? Like
Right.
something's happening here, like something's working, right?
Right. Like you put up that blog you put up like that I'm going to be on your podcast today.
Yeah.
And I shared it, and almost immediately somebody from like a different thing that I participate with put in there, I got 178 days today.
That's awesome.
And it's like, I'm like, you know,
bringing the hope, dude.
You're freaking winning. You know what I mean? Like right on.
Yes.
And I'm going to see her at a racetrack in a couple of weeks. And there's like another level of connection, which is really, you know, what this whole program thing is about. It's like, you know, like I was saying that like with courage to like, you know, the courage I had to muster up to like continue to like keep doing my thing and not just roll up in a ball and be upset about the divorce.
Yeah.
It was like sometimes when I'm not courageous, my higher power just kind of puts things, the universe just sort of like says, all right, dude,
Yes.
you don't have the balls to do it, but here it is. Yeah. And shoves me into play. And I'm like, oh.
Yes, exactly.
That's how it was with getting my, starting my own business. It was like I was doing side work all the time. Because as soon as I found out Jake was on his way,
it's like, gotta hustle.
I was like, he's not going to be going to school with, you know, holes in his shoes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's, you know, not unless he wants them. You know what I mean? So
yeah, totally.
I was just working my brains out because I grew up like broke, like food stamps, like hustling. And when my mom was like shooting crank and staying up for
days,
like, you'll never be the same after you've stayed up 34 days, Jeffrey. I'm like, oh my God, Mom.
Yeah.
This is shit she would share with me when I was 8. I'm like, okay,
Mom. Okay.
Good to know. But what happened was I was doing all the side work all the time, and architect screwed my boss. My boss laid me off, and that's when I got out on my own. It was kind of like, I was ready, and then all of a sudden it was like, all right, dude, it's on.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, oh, here I am. Okay,
dude, that's awesome, man. And I can relate with that too, because there definitely have been times for me as well to where it's just like, I get this little just kind of something inside me tells me to do it, and then I'm just like, all right, I got to do it. If I don't do it, I feel like it's like it puts me in this weird space, and I definitely feel like that's my higher power, like working in my life and like being there, helping me see that like this thing that I'm afraid of, if I just like have a little bit of courage, just like with the help of my higher power, right? Like I can get through it, right? And it's just think about when I was like detoxing in my like parents' basement, and I'm like, dude, I had to have courage to like keep going, right?
Right.
It's like it was like day 3, and I was like, someone just kill me right now, please, right? Please help me. And like, I told my parents just to like lock me in their basement. I was like, make sure I don't come out. And like, if I want to go somewhere, tell me I can't go anywhere. And that's what I did, man. And it's like, but then, that also came from like the desire to want to stop using. And like, that came from what I think is my higher power, and like my higher power gave me that desire and gave me the courage to like, okay, this next 30 days is going to suck, but it's going to open a door for you that's going to really like help you with the rest of your life, and everything's going to kind of like fall into place. And like, I had to have that little push of just, you have to go through some discomfort in order to find comfort,
Yeah. And that's where, like I'm currently working on that, like, okay, this is life on its own terms.
Yes.
And that's a hard one, right? So
that is.
I'm over here like I've been faithful, I've provided every want or need, I've like put the pieces in place for family to have it. I've, no infidelity, not running around gambling, spending all the money, not like it's like usually it's like something happens, you know what I mean? Like there's some deal breaker that goes down, or something that you did comes to light, and it's like, oh, absolutely not, right? There's usually something. There wasn't any one singular thing that happens. Like my wife and I, we grew up together, we've grown apart. It sucks, but
it does.
I'm also wanting, and this is something that came up years ago when my wife was stuck in one of her relapses. I said, how would you feel if you came to Jake's house 15 years from now and saw the dynamics of our relationship playing out in
his marriage, right? Yeah.
how would you feel? And she just like, just exploded because it's shitty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
It was like very little affection, not much interest being shown, not doing cool shit together.
Totally.
And, you know, at the end here, that's what I was saying. I was like, look, I just want to do dope shit with my girl.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Yes. 100%.
Like, go to shows, ride motorcycles, travel, go to racetracks, whatever it is. Like, I keep everything after years and years and years of me going, hey, you want to come to this? No. Hey, how about this? No. Okay. All right. You come up with something and I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all right, what is it? All right, cool. Let's do that. And then a couple times of that, and then it's not happening anymore. It's like, well,
yeah.
Well, you know what I mean? So it's just like after, you know, it's like the death by 1,000 cuts. You know what I mean? It's like every time I ask and you say no, it's a little micro, you know, or when I go, do you want to do anything? Like, no. It's like, yeah, another one. And then a friend calls her and she's like, hey, this and that. She's like, baseball cap and keys and hitting the door. And I'm like,
okay,
your homie got new couch pillows. That's interesting. And you're out of here. Okay. All right, then. Another little, and I'm like, you know.
Yeah,
but
dude.
I kind of came to the realization that, like, in order to do that death by 1,000 cuts, you got to strap that dude to the table. But I was just volunteering for it. I was like, yeah, sure. Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and pointing that out to her took some courage because, you know, again, my motivations are seek pleasure and avoid pain.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I piss her off, I'm not getting laid.
Yeah.
And I'm a shallow creep, right? So, and then if I upset her, it fucks the vibe up in the house. And then, you know, nobody likes that. So I'll just not say anything.
Yeah, dude.
You know, and
that's super hard.
And then the courage to say, hey, you know what? This is, you know, it seems like you've made a decision. And if you've made a decision, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's not preferred. It's not what I want. But if you've made a decision, that's okay, because I don't want to be with someone who doesn't want to be with me.
Yeah, dude. Yes. 100%.
And, you know, like when she was in one of her relapses and I said, listen, you can have everything you want except my truck and the kids.
Yeah.
If this is the lifestyle you want, take everything you want. And, you know, via con Dios, go with God, but go, you know, but go. Because that's not, you know, there's things that I grew up with that I wanted not to have my sons go through. You know what I mean? Totally. And addiction is ugly and sad, gross. And, you know, there was a moment when she was like super depressed, zooted out, laying in bed for days. Kids were young. And I said, hey, this is not it. This is not how I want it to be. You need to get up and take a shower and like hit a meeting, call a sponsor, get a shrink.
Yeah.
Go to temple, but do something. You know what I mean? And she nodded out in the shower, fell out, busted her head, and is laying there, wet, naked, and bleeding.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And I'm calling the ambulance. The ambulance comes in. The kids are up and freaked out, like, oh my God, what's wrong?
Yeah.
And the red lights from the ambulance flashing through the house and seeing those cross my son's faces. And then the ambulance driver walks in, sees me, sees her, sees the crying kids, calls the police.
Of course.
Like it's a domestic violence situation, and I'm not that dude.
No,
way.
yeah.
You know what I mean? never. Grew up with my mom and my two sisters.
Yeah.
There's no woman beating going on anywhere in my orbit. You know what I mean? And then I'm sitting there seeing red and blue lights flashing across my kids' faces.
And then you like deal with the cops.
This is the shit that I grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
That I specifically chose a mate in recovery to try to avoid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it happened anyways.
Yeah.
know? And that's the kind of stuff where I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, this is not what I signed up for. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, dude.
And, but again, life on life's terms.
Right? Yeah, and that's the hardest part, because even, you know, where I'm at today, there's so many people that ask me, because my wife is in recovery also. She has she's gonna have 5 years. Yeah, she's gonna have 5 years coming. Oh, next year she's gonna have 5 years. Sorry, she just got 4 years in January. So, and it's like I kind of had the same thing go through my head of I want to be with someone who's also who gets it, you know.
Right.
I think it would be hard for me to be with someone who's oh, I'm gonna go out and have some drinks with my friends and then come back home and I'm well, now I gotta deal with you smelling like booze and cigarettes and stuff. I'm not trying to do that, you know. And I also realize it is my choice of who I pick. I can't just, you know, also pick someone else who's different, but also I just wanted someone who understood and who got it and who could understand me and understand that I need to go to meetings. I need to have a sponsor. I need to do these certain things to help me stay clean, you know. And life on life's terms, sometimes it's a pain in the ass, right? Sometimes life throws you a curveball and it's just dude, really, man, you got to throw this at me right now. And then that right there takes courage to get through and understand that situation, right? And it's life on life's terms is hard, but it's also you know, we get to make that choice today, whether we deal or we don't, you know.
Not really. You know what I mean?
So?
It's life on life's terms is up yours, punk. That's how it is.
True. That is
true.
What
I mean? So it's how we respond to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
how we respond. Yes.
Am I going to be an asshole all day to everyone else and myself?
Mm-hmm.
And
yes,
you know, the back to the pleasure and pain thing. It's am I going to eat a half gallon of ice cream and masturbate furiously and go buy another motorcycle today because I'm having some feelings? It's no, dude, I'm going to do the next right thing, whatever that is. You know what I mean? And when I don't know what that is, I find a way to be of service.
Yes. Yeah, dude. I mean? Yes, and, that's great.
So I mean, that's what I've been doing. That's how I live my life anyways, right? Being of service. And that's how, and through the lens of gratitude is how I've raised my sons. When you talk to Jake, a person not in recovery.
Yeah.
But he grew up with me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he was born when I was 23. We've been hanging. You know what I mean? I was the Cub. He wanted to get into Cub Scouts. I was a Cub master. I'm I'm in, dude. Let's go. You know?
Yeah.
And the day before him and his homies started high school, we went to the All-Stars tour at the Regency on Lombard in the city. Went to a bunch of concerts. Went, you know, saw all of that, and then brought home and brought them home when they started high school. The day after they finished high school, we went and saw Slayer and the Hell Yeahs and everybody else. You know what I mean? And
that's so sick.
I was my house was the one with the quarter pipe, trampoline, hot tub, and barbecue. I was all right, everybody here, nobody's getting pregnant, nobody's getting high.
No.
We might blow some shit up, but there's all kinds of there's you know, and then we would go to concerts. It'd be like, everybody jump in the expedition. We're going to shows, because everybody's parents were like, I don't know, my kid's like 14. I'm like, don't worry, I know how to operate at a show. We're good. And they're like, cool, you want to go? Here's some money for gas. Here's their tickets. You know what I mean? And all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we would go, and I'd be like, all right, dude, check it out. Backpack check. Nobody's going to have any dope. Nobody's doing any of that. Nobody's getting me in trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then we're going to go to these shows. We're going to have a great time. No extracurricular chemicals required.
Yeah.
You know? And this is, you know, I don't know what that weird hardcore dancing is. We circle pit. This is how you know, this is
all day, bro.
right. This is how you suggest to a large person that you'd like to stage, you know, you'd like to crowd surf. Okay.
Yeah.
So I would like teach them how to operate in the world as not like this square dude who doesn't get high.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, no, dude, we do dumb shit. You know what I mean? Like, let's build a ramp.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Build a quarter.
You know, if you put these chemicals together inside of a bottle and hit the bottle, throw it, you know what I mean? It'll explode. It's hell loud. And they're like, sick, dude. You know?
Hell yeah.
That was the dad I was. And like, Jake lives in Vancouver, Washington. I'm still in Nevada, you know what I mean? San Francisco Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
All those kids that grew up in my backyard are still calling me like, hey, dude, what do we, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, we hang and we, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm part of the community and they know, you know what I mean? There's been a handful of them that have been like, hey, dude, I think maybe my life has taken a turn. And like, how do you not have beer? How do you not come home from work and smoke a joint? Like, how does that work, dude? And I'm like, takes practice. You know what I mean? It does.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I'm like, I'm not soapbox. I'm not going to be like, you know, like a vegan who's going to yell at you for, you know,
yeah, bro, for sure.
like up in your ass about everything you do. But if you, you know, like, hey, dude, if you
want to learn,
don't like the way that's working out, hit me up, dude. And like, we can hang and, you know, like I go to concerts with Jake's homies and stuff like that locally and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, dude. And they're like, that was actually like, I did not miss the beer and the weed and the anything else. I didn't miss all that because we were just at the show. And I'm like, fun. Bro. You know what I mean? It's not a requirement. It's sort of a standard that people seem to think is part of the deal.
Yes.
You know, go to a show, first thing, hit the bar. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. In the parking lot before the show, pregame. You know what I mean? Yeah. Pregame, whatever your game is. You know
whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's nice because, I mean, right, wrapping back to like courage is like, it takes courage to do that too, because there's so many people that like fit into that box of like, gotta have a beer, gotta like be under some sort of influence to like do anything. And it's like, I was hanging out with that group of people all the time. And I was always in the mindset of like, in order to be having fun in this situation, I have to be under some sort of influence. And now that like I'm clean, I love going to shows. I love like being able to enjoy like the whole, just everything, you know, at a show. And it's like, dude, I can like have fun and be present, you know. It's not just about remembering it, but it's like I get to be present in this moment and like get to enjoy this band, like bring their power to me, you know. And it's just it's great. And it's just it's so, and I remember the first couple of shows I went to, it took just so much like courage to tell people like, no, dude, I don't want to drink, like I don't want to smoke any weed, like I just want to like be here and be, you know. And it's crazy because I'll tell people like I'm clean or whatever. If someone like tries to pass me a joint or a beer, I'm like, nah, dude, like I'm good, I'm clean, whatever. And they're like, oh, whoa, I'm sorry, man, I'm sorry about that. And
you're like, no, man, do your thing. Care, bro. Like, I just don't get down. Yeah,
exactly. Like, and it's a lot. I feel like living in the moment today is a lot easier, and it like also brings me so much gratitude being able to like be there and be present and be able to like show up for myself, you know, because it took so much to like go and use it shows, and now it's like it's just so natural just to go and do things clean today, you know.
Right. Well, not only that, but when I was younger, I went to all the shows because everybody else wanted to pregame.
Yeah.
And I was like, you buy my ticket and feed me, I'll take you, you know, I'll take you to and from the show no DUIs happening. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
went to all the shows because that was, I mean, I went, I'd go see Primus New Year's Eve, like 5
Damn.
years straight on somebody else's dime with backstage passes. You know what I mean? I was like,
Dude, that's wild,
you know,
dude.
I'm in. You can get as lit as you want, bro. Just nothing happens in the car. You know what I mean?
And I'll drive you home.
Yeah, I'll get you there and I'll get you back, and
Dude, that's awesome.
yeah.
That's so
I mean,
cool.
it just opens so many things up when like you don't have to be like, maintain, dude, act casual, maintain.
Yeah.
Here's down, cop. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
whatever, dude, do what you want. Hang out the windows, show your titties. Who cares?
Who
You know
cares?
what I
Who
mean?
cares?
Like, just go wild because there's nobody coming. We're not doing
No.
anything wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like that is like the freedom that I was hoping to get. Like
Yes.
partying, like whoop, just wiling out, going hog wild.
Yeah, yeah.
Not until I got clean. Because
Yeah.
when I was using, I was like, no, dude, you gotta act casual. Or,
Mhm.
we're gonna get arrested. And
Yeah.
then they'll find all this stuff, and that's no good. They'll enhance our charges. And now it's
Yeah.
like, whatever, dude. I just go hog wild because there's
Yeah.
nothing, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just wiling out,
Yeah, dude, exactly. Nothing to worry about today. And like, God, yeah, dude, that's the best feeling, is to not have to worry about that shit anymore and not have to worry about like, and it's like, yeah, it's a new sense of freedom that I always strived for when I was using, but I only found when I got clean,
Yeah.
It's a crazy paradox. Like, it's shit is wild for sure. All right, so I got one last question for you. So if someone asked you how to get clean today, what would you tell them?
Stop using right now.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like right now.
just stop.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, all right, let's get rid of that. And then I'll see you at the meeting tonight.
Yeah.
And if you can't make it between now and then, we'll hang.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like that's where, like when the whole pandemic and like Zoom only, there's people, I've met them,
Mhm.
got clean during COVID.
Dude, yeah.
There was no in-person meetings.
I was
There's
one
no
of them.
clean. Oh yeah?
Yeah,
Nice.
I got clean October 6th, 2020.
Nice.
It was like right in like the kind of middle of it. And it was like 2021 they first started opening up meetings in Denver that were like rogue meetings. And it was like, had to sit 6 feet apart, and we all had masks on, and there was hand sanitizer everywhere. And
right.
and it was like, but the online meetings are like, man, I was doing an online meeting like twice a day. And I was like, there was just something about it. And I was like, I'm getting something from this, And then I went to my first in-person meeting, and I was like, this is where it's at. Like, this, like, I can get an online meeting like wherever today, and like if it's late at night or whatever, but it's like nothing beats an in-person meeting.
Right. Like, well, how old are you, dude?
I'm 34.
34. Okay. So I just turned 50. So I'm old as shit, right? And it feels weird to say that, but I'm getting used to it. Like, I think that like getting clean on Zoom, like works. Like you're probably at the end of that, like the aging out of that being as effective as it can be.
Yes.
But I also think that like it opened it up for a lot of young people because a lot of life is online.
Yeah. Yes.
And a lot of people's connections with homies are people they've never been in the same space as, but they game with them and they work with them or whatever. You know what I mean? They interact through socials and everything else.
Yeah.
Online, and that works. Like I still feel that
connection a little bit, right?
You feel a little bit of it.
Yeah.
My younger son, 19, that's where his homies are. You know what
online.
I mean? Like in person, it's kind of like, yeah, it's a little uncomfortable. It's a little weird. You know what I mean? Like, what do I do with my hands?
Totally.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's the social shite that went down really like kind of altered the whole social construct of
a lot of shit.
Yeah. So when it went dark and there was no meetings like in person, and I was doing a bunch of Zoom meetings and stuff like that. And the meeting where I met my wife, like the halfway house had been gone for 15 years, but they restarted the Monday night fuck no meeting.
That's awesome.
Online.
That is
Because they were like, hey, we don't need a location anymore. We've got it.
Do it online.
Online. So, I mean, there was good things that came from it for sure, but it was like, it wasn't, you know what I mean? It still doesn't, you know what I mean? And luckily I got clean when I did.
Yeah.
And however, you know, whatever the circumstances of whoever gets clean, whether it's in the pen, in the county, in a detox, in the basement, in juvie,
wherever,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like whatever it takes, you know what I mean? And then there's some people that just roll into a meeting. But what's really awesome, I think, is for the younger generation, they don't have to necessarily like walk into a room with a bunch of one-eyed, seven-fingered henchmen.
Yes, yeah.
And
totally.
go, yeah, I qualify to be here. Yeah, I didn't shoot dope. I didn't shoot dope out of a, you know, drawing up water from a prison
dirty water
toilet.
bottle. Yeah.
I didn't, you know, I just, you know, I get down and it's fucking my life up and I want to change. You know what I mean? So like that opportunity is great. You know what I mean? Yeah. That opening. Cause when I, like in 1995, I was 91, I was 17, clean. Nobody else was. Everybody was at least 30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
In the 90s, yeah, dude.
I started the first young people's meeting in Marin.
Sick.
I started the first midnight meeting in Marin. And then I started the Narcotics Anonymous Youth Committee in my living room in San Anselmo in 96.
That's cool as fuck.
And it's still going, which is awesome.
That is awesome.
They had a convention in Canada. There's NAYC in New York. There's NAYC in Sonoma. There's NAYC in Los Angeles area.
Cool.
And it's still going. You know what I mean? It's like,
that's so cool, man.
We were going to call it NAPPY, Narcotics Anonymous Principal Practicing Youth. But people were like, I don't
maybe not.
Maybe not, dude. I was like, it's cool. It sounds cool to me. You know what I mean? And if it pisses people off, that's even better.
Yeah.
But they were like, no, it's not better. So the Narcotics Anonymous Youth Committee. And we do, like we still do up in Santa Rosa, the Big Wieners and Fat Buns barbecue.
Nice.
And
yeah.
And we used to do the squeaky clean because for years in San Francisco, they wouldn't have any young people's meetings. They're like, that's a special interest. So we're not calling it. So we came up with the code word of squeaky clean.
Damn. So that was like how you know it was a young people's meeting.
Yeah, it was a squeaky clean meeting. So
dude,
there's still some old heads, some old ballers that were like, yeah, dude, you going to the Squeaky Clean Rock Fest? And it's like, yes, I am. You know what I mean? We'd put together bands and play and have shows and meetings and stuff like that. But
damn.
Yeah. And that's what, you know what I mean? That's what I tell people when they get clean. Like Wednesday night, I was at the relapse and recovery meeting, which is like my home group. There's a new guy who came in and he's just like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm here and I don't want to live like how I've been living anymore. And I was like, you nailed it. He's like, what's that? I'm like, you showed up 40 minutes late, but you're here and you raised your hand and you said something, dude. Like, meeting's almost over, but you're here, dude. You made it.
Exactly.
Kick ass. Next week, if you want to ride to get here on time, hit me up. And we pass around the schedule. Me and the fellas put numbers down. And I'm like, afterwards, we're going out to eat. Dude, you coming? He's like, well, I'm like, hey, dude, you got a hot date later? Or a super early morning? And he's like, no. I'm like, cool, then come eat with us. I'll buy you a milkshake.
Hell yeah. Yeah, something, right? Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's what really, for me in the beginning, that's also what, like the fellowship part of it. And also just like a bunch of these old bikers who were like, got clean in the 80s and the 70s were like, would sit and just talk with me after the meeting. And then like, we would go and get food. And it was like, those were the dudes I called in my like first 30 days. And they sat there and would listen to me bitch and complain about whatever was going on.
Right.
But they had like the love and the want to talk to me, you know, because I'm a newcomer and I was trying to like get clean. And so it's like, And then, you know, it was probably like 6 or 7 months after, one of those dudes went to the hospital and died. And I was like,
Oh
oh my
shit.
God, like
Yeah.
this is my first experience of like death in recovery. And it was this old timer who like helped me get clean. And it was like,
Yeah.
it was a heart opening experience. And that's like, you know, when I got the sponsor that I have now, I've had the same sponsor for like, 2.5, 3 years. And it's just like, he's got 44 years and like, you know, got clean in Phoenix and was like around with the OGs. And like, he knows so much about Narcotics Anonymous and also keeps it like to the point where it's like so simple to where he doesn't complicate things, you know, like I tell him what's going on and he's like, what step do you need to work? How do you, where's this in the basic text? And it's like, he brings it back to the literature and he like helps me understand like how to apply the literature better in a situation. And it's like, you know, that's what I need, man. I don't need someone to like, you know, help me get other ideas in my head. Like I just need someone to help me bring it back to like the originals, like to what the literature says is like what I think is key, you know?
Right. Yeah. Cause when I'm not, that's why I keep going to meetings too. Right. And I keep reading the basic text because my brain not just will, but has turned just for today into fuck the rent.
Yeah.
Like that's how twisted my head will take something that's good and break it apart and make it into something awful. You know what I mean? My disease is like, we could remix that.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
I mean? Like we could remix that, dude. And I'm like, wait a minute. It's like, no, dude, pay your rent. You know what I mean?
Pay the bills. Yeah.
Pay the bills, dude. Like self-supporting through your own contributions. Oh, right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good deal. You know, and it's like,
yeah.
If I don't keep going back to the source, uh-oh, what happened?
Oh, you're still there. I got you.
Okay. It's doing something weird. There it is.
Good.
Maybe? I don't know. Let's see. There you are. No. This shit got weird. There you are. Okay, cool.
There we go. All good.
If I don't bring it back to the source and get it pure, unadulterated, because my head will adulterate anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll start rationalizing and like gearing off course, and then small allowances lead to larger allowances.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I start chipping away at my program, and I start chipping away at like, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I could pull that. Yeah, you know, I could probably get away with that. And then it's like, next thing you know.
Next thing you know, you got to call your sponsor.
No, like quite literally, next thing you know, I got sponsees visiting me in county jail. And I'm like, whoa, all right, I didn't use.
Yeah.
But the rest of the lifestyle shit came back. And I was like, whoa, no.
How did I get here?
Yeah. And I'm like, why are you here? They're like, you're visiting with my sponsor. I'm like, your sponsor's in jail.
Yeah.
Go get another sponsor, bro. You know. But
oh, that's good. That's good shit, man. Yeah. All right. Right on, man. Well, unfortunately, that is all of the time we have. Thank you so much, Jeff, for being a guest on the Last Drop Sobriety Podcast today. Be sure to go give Jeff a follow on Instagram. He is at Jeff L. Langston. Yeah, go shout him out. Follow him. He's a good dude. Super cool to have him on here. And yeah, dude, thank you again so much for jumping on here today. I really, really appreciate it. Yeah, for everyone else out there, be sure to share this with someone who might need to hear it today. The Last Drop is here to help end the stigma of addiction. Be sure to give me a follow at the Last Drop Sobriety on Instagram and all other socials. And yeah, all we have is today. So, you know, take it a moment at a time if you need it, people. But thank you so much, Jeff. I really appreciate you being on here, man. Love chatting with you. Glad we got to connect a little bit this morning. And yeah, dude, I look forward to talking with you more in the future.
Right on, man.
Cool.